Good afternoon, everybody. It's afternoon, by the way, in Indianapolis. We're on Eastern Standard Time, and I'm here with Loren Augeri from Florida for Good. And this is a really cool, very special attraction. For me, and I'm sure it will be for you by the time you're finished listening to it, because what this is about is it's about doing good predominantly doing good in business, so that you have a bottom line that is not only profitable, but also benefits society in general, our environment in particular. And Loren is the project coordinator, program coordinator. And one of the cool things that Florida for Good did, I mean, if you're wondering why somebody from Indiana really cares, Florida for Good was introduced to me by a very good friend of mine, Jared Myers from Legacy Resorts, who I noticed a LinkedIn post that he had mentioning that he gave his employees the day off to vote, a paid day off to vote. And I thought, so I reached out to Jared and said, what's that about? He explained to me what the B Corp is all about. It hit my pocketbook, it hit my brain, and it hit my heart. So it was something that was very aligned with what I believe is good corporate governance. So I then joined at his behest. I joined Florida for Good and got just a lot of help getting through the B Corp certification process. Still waiting for the final Good Housekeeping seal of approval. But I'll tell you, Loren, Jennifer connected me then with University of Florida, who then connected me with some really bright students that took me through the part of the process that it was good. It was soul searching, and it was really a beneficial process. So even if somehow it doesn't work out where I get that certification, it's been darn good for our business. So, So Loren, having said that, I think we may want to just start out the Bob and Weave podcast by talking about Florida for Good and, your role, and let's get going. Let's do it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to share more. So thank you so much for having me, Bob. Again, my name's Loren. I work with Florida for Good on their numerous programs to really better the corporate ecosystem through social and environmental impact causes. And it's so rewarding as an employee, but also even as a consumer, knowing that I'm helping to kind of grow this values aligned business landscape, because it's something that I want to work for as a professional, something that I want to support as a customer or a guest. So it's just a really fun, and like you said, heartwarming and smart movement to be a part of. So a little bit about us is Florida for Good. We are very inspired by the B Corp movement. You were talking about B Corps. That's basically at the core, at the heart of everything we do. Our mission is to grow the number of B Corps and the B Corp landscape here in the state of Florida and beyond by inspiration. As you yourself were inspired, not just because you're in the state, but you heard about our story and you were inspired to move and make change, positive change for your business. So we're an initiative that funds free resources. We offer networking opportunities, collaborative opportunities for businesses within the kind of B Corp and B Corp-ish space. We seek to be that connector between conscious capitalism, 1% for the planet members, other B Corps, governments, chambers, academia, and local for good ecosystems throughout the state. So right now, Florida for Good is kind of our umbrella, right? But we also have chapters throughout the state in Central Florida, Tampa Bay, Northeast and Northwest Florida, Southwest Florida, and a Miami chapter, which will be launching this year, which we're very excited about. So basically at our core, we offer a free online business directory. So that's hosted on our website. And again, that's just a place for whether you're a business looking to partner with like-minded organizations, or you're a consumer looking to support companies in your community that are doing good for people in the planet. It's kind of a one-stop shop where you can view businesses such as those. And we provide free resources. We have our own licensed free B impact assessment, which, as you are very familiar with, is the measurement tool which companies go through to become B Corp certified. And we provide resources as well, directly or through documentation or case studies, examples. These are all things that help companies move towards that certification. And again, a lot of times some companies start their journey just wanting to learn more, and then they end up going through the certification process and the B impact assessment. But what we want to do is just really be a champion for them. We really want to support them, no matter if they want to go through verification or not, because even if a business looks to be a little bit better in what they do and in their impacts, we've done our job.
I'll
So
tell you what, let me ask you this.
yeah,
I all of a sudden find myself when I am doing that shopping online or
mhm,
otherwise, I look for that B with the circle around it. I look for
yep.
that logo. Is that getting to be more and more prominent? Is it getting to be where more and more people? I mean, how's the momentum?
Yes. The momentum is good. We now have nearly 4,000 B Corps around the world. The movement is definitely growing. However, we're still finding awareness is sometimes low. And I wonder if the viewers of your podcast today have ever seen this logo, and it's this logo right down here that Bob is referencing, the Certified B Corporation logo. A lot of times, even some people in my own circles, my own network, I mention what I do. I mentioned that I work for a company that helps or a nonprofit that helps grow the B Corp movement, and I work for companies that are B Corp certified, and they're still unaware. So it's an interesting dichotomy. It's some people are so for it and so passionate about it, and if you mention some of the bigger name ones like Ben and Jerry's, Athleta, Seventh Generation, Patagonia, Danone, they'll be like, "Oh, I know exactly what that company is. I've never noticed that logo on their products." But then some people are super passionate about B Corps and like, oh, I only shop B Corps. If it doesn't have that logo on it, I don't want to support it. I want to support companies that are doing good. So I think we still definitely have work to go. I mean, when you think about it, 4,000 across the globe B Corps, that sounds great, right? But think of how many companies exist in the world, trillions, who knows? So we still definitely have work to do, I would say. And that's part of another thing that we do here in Florida is to raise awareness of what a B Corp is and why you should work for, and support as a consumer companies like B Corps.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even though I'm still waiting for my housekeeping seal of approval, I do still use it as a bit of a unique selling proposition by saying, hey, if you haven't heard of a B Corp, you might want to look into it. And when people do, and they do look into it, when they look into it, they start to see that, we're a company with a conscience.
Absolutely. And
We have a heart.
it's so true. No one whenever I share what a B Corp is, even with those who don't know it, I have never encountered someone that's like, that doesn't sound good. Like everyone who I begin to engage and explain what a B Corp is, they're intrigued, they're interested, and they want to know more. They want to aspire to be a B Corp. So it's a really great thing to talk about, and having those open dialogues and being a pending B Corp. It's so important to just continue to increase that awareness, because I feel like that's the way the corporate landscape and the mindset of consumers is moving, right? Especially in this day and age, coming out of a pandemic. It's not about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward. And B Corps are the kinds of companies that can help you do that.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I mean, it does for us. I mean, I found out that our IT, our managed services company, is a certified B Corp, and I didn't know that when I started. I didn't know that when I hired them. It was only after we brought them in that I started noticing it on their email signatures.
Nice.
And it gave me a little bit of a sense of of brotherhood or sisterhood or hood.
Yep.
That there were some like-minded people doing business in like-minded fashion.
Absolutely. And that's something you mentioned, Jared Myers, at the beginning of this call, who is such a prevalent champion of the B Corp movement here in Florida through he owns 2 certified B Corps. What he likes to do is he gives preferential procurement to any vendors or businesses that he works with to B Corps or people who are B Corp-ish. So that's another thing that companies can start thinking about. It's not just the consumers that you're attracting. When you become a B Corp, you're opening the door to other businesses that are only seeking to work with companies whose values align with their own. So that's a really important note to mention, is I'm sure that now moving forward, if you have 2 vendors that you're seeking to go between and one's a B Corp and one's not, and you like them both, you're going to go with that B Corp company. So it's only
because there is a conscience. I know it. They can prove it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was really surprised at the things that were measured, and being, a company being in the measurement business, doing surveys, the measurement part of that whole process that I went through, I will say to everybody, it was not easy. In fact, when we started, I did the self-assessment and we had 73 points and you only need 80. And I thought, wow, this is going to be a breeze. Well, I got to tell you, that last that last leap took 4 months and a lot of help. So, I would encourage any company to go through it. I really would, even if you don't follow all the way through. It's a good process. It helps you tighten up a lot of, and Lauren, you may not know this, but at the same time, we were going through our HIPAA compliance to get our healthcare security protocols up to date. And it was interesting how some of the B Corp and some of the HIPAA compliance stuff were aligned. So by going through both of them at the same time, it was helpful. I don't know how smart that was, but it was helpful.
Maybe not smart for your time, but smart for in general. And it's so true. That's something else that I love about the impact assessment is that it is free. There is no commitment. There is no risk. So you can just move through that assessment and think about things, which I'm sure happened to you, that you've never thought about before. Like, I don't have an ergonomic policy. I don't have a breastfeeding policy. Like these great ideas, and they're all laid out for you there free in the assessments. Like, do you have this? No? Okay. Can I implement it? Yes. Okay. There's some points for you there. So that's just one of the beautiful things is while the B Corp community is an extremely inclusive community, it is an exclusive community in the sense that not everyone can be a B Corp. It's not one of those things that you can slap on your website with filling out a questionnaire because you don't use plastic straws, right? It's a thorough, intensive, and validated process through third-party verification to kind of prove like, yeah, I'm not just saying that I'm good for the world. This is how I'm good for the world and for people and communities. And this is the proof of that. Like, it's just such a rewarding experience to go through to kind of shift the thought process as a business owner. How can I use my business as a force for good? And the tool is sitting right there in front of you, that B Impact Assessment, and it's free. And it has everything, all of the ideas you could possibly ever want or need right there in the questions. And then it's just a matter of seeing which ones that you can feasibly adopt for your business and implementing them. So it's just every time I mention to people to go into the B Impact Assessment and check it out, I get a lot of hesitation. I get, oh, this is too time intensive. This is too intrusive. This is too expensive. But here's the thing. It's kept confidential. So no matter what you share within there, it's completely confidential. The impact assessment itself is free. Yes, the cost comes once you do certify and you have to pay an annual fee. It's like a sliding scale based on the revenue of your business. And then the time, there's no time limit. I've had companies that I've worked with through Florida for Good that have been in the impact assessment for a year and a half. And that's fine because they're still taking the steps. They're doing things at their business. And while they're not able to certify yet, being in that impact assessment has given them the ideas and the tools to kind of make some changes to their business that are still doing good for people and the planet. So it's truly like a win-win all the way around.
Well, I'm rather compulsive myself. And so, when Jared introduced me to it, I said, well, let me take a look at this. I've made a commitment. I got about, I don't know, a good month into it. And then as I mentioned, I was doing the HIPAA at the same time. And I thought, man, I got to stop this for now. I just need to hold off. Well, then Jennifer, your compadre, reached out to me and said, you can do that if you want to. And, we've already got students assigned. The college professor who was in charge said, hey, do me a favor, don't drop out because we've got 70 students and 14 companies, and I could really use, your help here to help guide these students. And so it gave me yet another reason. Now I find myself in a position where I'm mentoring students, but as it turns out, they were mentoring me. They fooled me. It was a great experience working with you. And of those students, by the way, 3 of the 4 have master's degrees.
Yeah.
So I wasn't talking to people that didn't understand the level of sophistication that was required to do this.
Yeah. No, these academic programs are incredible. And that's, as you see on the slide, that's kind of one of the main functions of our network is we reach out to universities to kind of plant these business for good labs. And basically what those are is a program where students, it's either some universities have it as an internship, some universities have it as a course that you can sign up to take as part of the semester. They're really incredible programs giving these students real world experience. And you're so right. There's some programs have like freshmen just eager to learn. Some programs have students with master degrees across competencies. I'm currently working with students at the University of South Florida right now here in Tampa. They just had their final presentations yesterday, and it was absolutely incredible. And there were political science majors, there were environmental sustainability majors, there were psychology majors, public relations majors. It just shows that, you don't have to have this environmental focus to be interested in B Corps. It's across majors, it's across competencies and education. So it was so enriching and rewarding. And I wish I could remember off the top of my head. I'm trying to think, but I believe out of the 7 businesses that participated, 4 achieved over the 80-point mark, and they're able to submit for verification through B-Lab. So it was just an incredible program. And we have the UF program, as you mentioned, that's a course. At USF, it's an internship program. And then Lynn University in Boca Raton over on the east coast of Florida has a Business for Good lab as well. And that's something that we're seeking to grow throughout the state, because it is just an immensely rewarding experience. It's giving businesses free help to get through the assessment, which, as you know, is not an easy task. So to basically have almost like employees dedicated to moving you through as consultants is so helpful to business owners. And then it's giving the students real world experience that they can put on their resumes. And then it's showing these, future leaders of tomorrow how beneficial a purpose-driven business can be, whether they themselves go on to be business owners or they start looking for jobs with values-aligned organizations. So again, it's just kind of this like incredible cyclical process, of growing the business for good and using business as a force for good here in the state and beyond, because these students, who knows where they will end up, right? Many of them, I'm sure, will move on past Florida, and then they will carry this experience with them to wherever they go. So it's just, again, it's another really rewarding program that we work with here at Florida for Good.
I do know where one of them is going to end up. One of them on my team has an undergrad in business administration, is about a week away from finishing up her master's in entrepreneurship, and is a year away from finishing her second master's in data analytics.
Wow.
So I know where she's going to end up, because we're bringing her in as our intern.
That's
and
awesome.
we're in the data business, and so
Yeah.
between that and some of the other initiatives we want, she kind of fits very neatly. And as a very positive byproduct, we're able to pick a really good intern who will end up getting some credit, who will end up getting paid, and we will benefit yet again because of our relationship with Florida for Good.
Yeah. It's just such a wonderful community to be a part of, because it offers infinite growth for everyone involved, for students involved, for businesses involved. They keep on finding ways to get better and better and kind of spread the word of business for good. So it's just such a rewarding kind of experience to be a part of and to work with. And as you can see here, that's not all we do with the universities. We also have, again, we're that connector. We serve as a communicator between all of these conscious networks. And then government incentives is something that we're getting into now. We're looking to work directly with local and state, hopefully one day, governments on the same kinds of things that we talked about that between B2B is doing, right? Like preferential procurement, tax incentives for conscious businesses or B Corps, and just other benefits that we can, again, just provide another motivator for businesses to move through the assessment, become B Corp certified, and become more responsible members of the communities in which they are found.
Yeah, in our case, one of our vertical markets is hospitality. And so we provide the survey for a lot of hospitality companies, which is where I know Jared from. And Jared, there's another group that Jared has formed that I know you attend. And I think we've got one coming up like real soon, right? Thursday, I think is the next one.
No, not on Thursday. I think it's in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from now, but I could be wrong because my calendar is all jumbled up in my head. But yes, e-tourism. And here, I'll jump ahead. So Florida for Good is nested under the For Good movement, and the For Good, so that's our 501c3 nonprofit. And the For Good movement has 2 main initiatives. So our first is Florida for Good, And then the second is bee tourism. And bee tourism is another just immensely exciting story to tell. It was originally formed in Jared's mind, being, you know, a 20-odd-year veteran of the hospitality industry. And he has a certified B Corporation in hospitality, Legacy Vacation Resorts. He wanted to form a network of B Corp certified hospitality accommodations, travel providers, lodging, anything to do kind of with travel and leisure and hospitality.
Surveys.
He wanted to have, yes, he wanted, of course, he wanted to have everything and anything B Corp hospitality to be in one place. Again, his goal for this was to make it easy for travelers to find the most values-driven vacation. We talked about don't leave your values when you go on vacation, right? So again, his vision of this global tourism industry that uses travel as a force for good could, you know, improve local communities, regenerate the earth, provide, you know, wonderful employment opportunities for people who are found within the communities around the world where these B Corps are found. So that was the concept of bee tourism. COVID hit, and so he kind of shifted and pivoted his idea at first. So bee tourism technically launched last summer, right? You know, as the height of COVID was happening and shutdowns were, you know, devastating the tourism industry. It became this platform to share resources to combat the negative effects of COVID, right? So we had our website built out. We provided any and all employment opportunities that we had heard of, SBA loan information, unemployment information, and then other resources to, you know, help with mental health and wellness, just to keep people feeling good and feeling okay. And then as we kind of moved through the pandemic, we shifted back to what he wanted it to be, which was kind of this initiative among B Corps and other values aligned travel organizations to share this vision of using travel as a force for good. And so now we're growing that community. We have monthly calls, which are so wonderful to be a part of, with different topics. We've kind of changed the model. The calls first started off, I'm sure you remember, as this wonderful kind of networking and open dialogue. And now we're going through these amazing presentations from other like-minded partners like Regenerative Travel and the Transformational Travel Council on, you know, these sort of topics within the tourism industry, right? So how
it's global. I mean, it's
global.
It's global.
Absolutely, yes, it is global.
Lady that gave the I'm sorry to talk over you.
No, you're fine.
The lady that gave the presentation on the regenerative travel, as I recall, is from Warsaw, Poland.
No, she was on regenerative travel. She was in Hong Kong. Amanda Ho. She was in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Okay, so who am I thinking about that was from Poland? It was transformative travel.
Oh yes, that was Mona in the Transformational Travel Council.
Yes. Yeah. I don't miss those meetings. I mean, I listen. I'm involved in every presentation.
Yes, you certainly are. I know it, and it's true. It is a global movement because there's B Corp certified tourism companies all across the globe, and we want everyone to kind of band together and again just create this really exciting network where people can have that one-stop shop and planning the most values-aligned vacation. Where, you know, I think we were talking about it on the regenerative travel call last month. Or this month, I should say, because we're still in April. It really hit home for me. Instead of just, you know, the age-old phrase of leave it like you found it, it's leave it better than you found it. How can we make things better? Because there's places that you visit that tourism maybe has not been kind to. Increased foot traffic, increased pollution. You know, what can we do? What can we do to change that? What can we do to be more regenerative? And even though that was just the topic of this month, it's kind of an overarching topic of bee tourism, right? It's how can we use tourism to help, you know, to create positive impact for social and environmental impact causes. So it's been a really exciting initiative for me to be a part of, and I'm excited to see it grow. I'm excited for our website to launch where we can have that directory and start bringing on members officially to be part of the group. But again, it's that focus on inclusive regenerative practices and a stakeholder orientation. So instead of just focusing on that bottom line, which I know a lot of companies do around the world, and that is important to having a successful business, right? Is you need to have that good bottom line, but you don't need to solely focus on that. It's how can you have that triple bottom line?
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, I've found that, I mean, it would be very irresponsible of me not to focus on the bottom line. at the same time, it does not cost any more to purchase bamboo-based products
Mhm.
than it does paper-based products. And these, these are totally biodegradable. And, so why wouldn't you do it? Why,
Exactly.
what stops you from doing that? And there are
Exactly.
also
And it's so
products
true.
like that are so readily available. And when you look today at the money that even the soft drink bottlers are spending on their recycling efforts, so that they're encouraging people to now recycle these because they'll take them back
Mhm.
and repurpose, remanufacture. Why wouldn't you do that? Just as a matter of some
Mhm.
social conscience. So I don't mind
Yeah.
focusing on the bottom line one bit, as long as at the
Mhm.
same time I can focus on, is that going to have a positive impact someplace, somewhere?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's such an important mindset. And it's sad that not all business owners can have a mindset such as yours. But I think through our initiatives and through our work, that's what we're hoping to achieve. We're hoping to show that you can be good and do well as a business at the same
Well,
time.
if they start losing business because they're not being conscious, then believe me, they will come around. And that's,
Exactly. And
when you,
that's where it's going to start going. That's what we
yeah,
talk about all the time internally at Florida for Good, and just in B Corp meetings that we have and B local meetings, is that the landscape is changing. People want to know that what they're supporting is doing good for the planet and for people. The way that the world is kind of transitioning into this mind frame of, I want to know that the soap I buy, the manufacturer of it is not dumping a bunch of stuff in a river or a lake, or using forced labor to make this product that I'm wearing just because it was cheaper, a little bit cheaper than this product. Like, they want to know that the companies that they're supporting, the hotels that they're visiting, and the vendors that they choose are having a positive impact and are not hurting people or the planet. And so I think it's so important for companies to kind of realize that. And I know a lot of companies try to greenwash and they say, I'm doing this, but it's something that's very basic that should just be done anyways. I'm excited for our movement to kind of inspire people to take things a little bit further and to be better, because don't get me wrong, the little steps are important, right? It's all about progress, not perfection. Even in my own personal life, I know I can't be living off the grid on 100% solar power and having compost bins. Like, some things that I'd like to do, I just can't do because of my
well,
life.
you could if you didn't have two daughters.
I could, yes. I have two babies,
Good.
so it's hard. It's hard to be zero waste with two kids. It's a little difficult, but
Yeah.
it's about that progress and not perfection. And I think that's so important for people to remember, is even small steps can make a
Well,
big difference. So small
you're
steps within your business, using those bamboo paper products instead of, or bamboo products instead of paper-based products, and trying to eliminate single-use plastic one step at a time. That's all great. And that's what will get you to your goal eventually. And that's important for companies to remember.
Well, in my case, I have a 9-year-old grandson, and it's interesting now how some of my personal purchasing decisions are predicated
Mhm.
upon what am I going to leave for him.
Yeah.
15 years ago, I'm not so sure I would have cared. I mean, I've always
Yeah.
cared about the environment. I've always been an activist about the environment. I worked in the United States Senate, and that was one of our big things in the 70s. I mean, I litigated all
Yeah.
these
Wow.
environmental rules and regulations then, and was around when the EPA was formed and why the EPA got formed. It's lost its purpose over the years, but it still comes down to leaving a better planet for your daughters and my grandson and Keith
Yeah.
Richards. You can't forget Keith Richards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. That's definitely one of my motivations is, and especially here in Earth Month, and happy belated Earth Day. But it's so
Indeed.
true. That's, again, it's all about leaving it better than you found it. What can we do to make sure that my daughters and kids around the world can see an elephant one day in real life instead of in a picture or a book, and to go take a kayak ride down a clean river. So it's so true. That's at the core. It's the motivation that I think drives a lot of people as well, is, who are we the earth is borrowed, right? It's not ours. We borrow it from every generation to come, and we want it to be there for them. We want it to be healthy for them. And people too. It's both the social and environmental side of things. When I talk to people about B Corps, they always kind of focus on that environmental aspect, like, oh, is this about being eco or green? I'm like, well, that's part of it, but there's also the social arm as well, making sure that all people are treated equally and fairly and justly, and including those Jedi principles in your business, to justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. It's all part of that big picture, the very holistic approach, as you know, that the B Impact Assessment goes after. It's totally not just environment. It's governance, community, workers, and the environment. It's everything that you do. And kind of taking a step back and looking at the big picture. Like, yes, as a business, what are my actions doing to help or hurt the planet, to help or hurt the community I'm in, to help or hurt the people that support me? Again, you just want to change that mind frame into, what can I do to help? What can I do to leave things better? What can I do to benefit? And that's at the core is what B Corps are all about.
Pay a minimum wage, not minimum wage, pay a living wage.
A living wage, yes.
And I know there's a difference, particularly, for instance, in the resort industry, Loren, where a lot of our clients are like with Jared, they're not necessarily in those great big destination cities. People may fly to a destination city to go to a resort that's in a bit more of a remote location. And the challenge with that is finding the help, finding the employees, because they could be in a remote location. And then you have to determine whether or not they're being paid a living wage, because are they living in affordable housing? And so small communities with large resorts don't necessarily have affordable housing. And so it's a cycle that the resort industry has to deal with on a pretty regular basis.
Absolutely. And paying a living wage is very important to the B Corp certification process for employees. It can get you a lot of points, and it's just the right thing to do, right? And there's for business owners out there who are curious, there's plenty of calculators. MIT has a really great living wage calculator, and it can calculate the living wage for different size families based on the area in which they're found. And that can give you kind of a benchmark to get to. I know that's something that Jared found very important for his business with Legacy Vacation Resorts, and he pays a living wage based on the different counties where each of his properties are found. And it's just again, it's one of those, a right thing to do, because I can't remember who said the quote, but it's that quote about I pity the man that makes a coat so expensive that he himself cannot wear it. And it's it kind of speaks to that cycle. Like, when you're treating your employees well, when you're paying them a living wage, they are going to become champions of your business. They are your biggest supporters. They are your biggest help, right? Without your employees, what would your business be? It would be you sitting at a desk alone with nothing to show. So an
empty chair is a very expensive chair. I mean,
exactly.
And I mean, I do a lot of work in the call center industry, and I know that that's the most expensive seat in a phone room is the empty seat. All the opportunity cost is gone. Do you want to move on to your next slide?
Yes, well, I was going to hop back because I hopped forward a little bit, so I'll hop back. But this is just to show in all that we're talking about, right? Like it is growing and it is moving. So right now within Florida for Good, we have over 200 businesses on the B Impact Assessment that have actually started, like with our license. So around the world, I think B Lab, because different B local groups, which is what we are, Florida for Good is essentially a B local group, which is kind of like a community leader of B locals within different cities or states. So we have a license to take for Florida-based companies to take the B Impact Assessment. So we have over 200, but around the world, I think there's like 75,000 people that have logged in to take the B Impact Assessment. So that's a really good sign, because that's showing so many businesses are interested and they're trying to get there. And then on our own directory here in the state, we have over 200 members. I think as of now, I think we're at like 211 or 212 or something like that. So it slowly creeps up and up. And the people on our directory, again, they're just showing us that they're interested in pursuing a values-driven path. And then this gives us an open door once they join our completely free directory. Hey, have you ever thought about becoming B Corp certified, and how can we help you? How can we help you do so? So it's just, again, showing how our community is growing. And actually those were the end of my slides. So do you have any other questions for me that you kind of want to pick my brain about?
I want you to go to the next slide.
Yes.
That's the one that matters a lot to me.
Mhm.
because we one of the things that both as a company and personally that we have here as a part of our culture, it's embedded in us, is that we don't just tithe. I mean, we will contribute 40% of our revenue, of our income to charity every year.
Mhm.
So I'm driving a Ford, not a Lamborghini, and I'm happy to drive the Ford because if I can help and be, be a decent human being, then just maybe I'll get into heaven. Who knows? The-
Absolutely. No,
the
it's
city-
important. We are a nonprofit. So donations
absolutely.
certainly help us achieve our mission.
And this is how you would do it. This is how people can donate. They can go to the forgoodmovement.com/donate. And, I will tell you this, I'll make the same pledge to you that I make to all my guests. And that is that I will throw $50 in there today.
Ah.
Sure that that we were reasonably productive today.
Yes,
And I
I
know
think
that at
so.
some point Jared will hit me for more, but for right now, for you and for the sake of this discussion, we'll do the $50 one.
That is very kind of you, Bob, and thank you. Yes, it's with generous support such as yours that we can kind of keep driving and keep this business for good movement flourishing here in the state. So any and all donations are so deeply appreciated. Thank you.
Well, we live in a climate emergency right now. I don't know what do people have to hear? What do they have to think and understand that, the planet's about to give up on us.
I
You
know
know,
it. I know it.
planet's getting tired and we need to, I mean, I love the fact that Biden is talking about cutting the footprint by 50% by 2030. Is that
Mhm.
enough soon enough?
Yeah,
It
I
isn't
think it's
a lot of people buying in. So,
yeah,
well,
absolutely.
I'm, I'm, I'm really glad that we could pull this off today and that we,
Yeah.
were able to get together. I've enjoyed our meetings on the bee tourism
Yes,
stuff. And this is the first
me too.
one-on-one we've ever had. And I hope to be in Orlando. You're in Orlando, right?
I'm technically in Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. Oh, I love
Yes.
Tampa Bay. That is
Oh,
just, I mean,
I love it.
Ybor City. I mean, there are some places to eat in Ybor City that I've not experienced anywhere else, and they're really good.
Absolutely.
Of course, I know
Yeah.
there are other parts of Tampa, but
Yeah, no, Ybor City is great. It's a historic district and it is so just rich with culture and life and good food. And yeah, Tampa Bay is a great spot. We have historic cities down in Ybor. We have beautiful beaches, some of the country's best beaches ranked on TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor ranked #1 and #4 is Clearwater Beach and St. Pete Beach. So we have beautiful beaches, incredible art with the Dali Museum and others, and it's a really fun spot. So Tampa Bay is awesome.
It's the Dolly Museum. Is that in Tampa or is that in St. Pete?
It's in St. Pete, technically. So I'm
Yeah,
referring to Tampa Bay. I'm very inclusive. I like to call
that's
us all
fair.
Tampa
Yeah,
Bay.
I mean, I've been to the Dolly Museum and the Chihuly Museum. The
Yeah,
Chihuly Gallery is some kind of cool.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you had the IndyCar race this past week.
We did. I was actually over in St. Pete and I heard all the cars buzzing around me, and my girls went down to the all new St. Pete Pier, which is an incredible experience on the water with restaurants and different zones. And the Tampa Bay Watch has like this incredible touch and learn tank there. And it's a really cool spot. And we heard the cars buzzing around and the helicopters overhead. It was a very loud day.
Yeah, and exciting. And we've got the Indy 500 coming here at the end of the month, and
Yeah.
that's the granddaddy of all
Oh, yeah.
all
I
spectator
know that.
things. And they're disappointed because they can only sell 175,000 tickets. That's
Wow.
175,000 people seated. Uh,
Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, it's typically 350,000 people in one location. It makes it the
Wow.
second largest city in the state of Indiana on race day.
Wow, that's crazy. That's awesome. That's a
Amazing.
fun
So,
fact.
yeah, and it starts at St. Pete. So, so thanks for sharing. Loren, thanks for sharing
Yeah,
your time and thanks for sharing
thank you.
your information and your day. And I hope I know we'll stay in touch. And
Yes.
so if there's anything I can do, let me know. And let's everybody forget to vote and please continue to mask up. We may have this thing licked, but we don't have it licked.
That's
So
right.
mask
Stay
up.
safe.